three launches, Tengah, Vela Bay and Hudson Place. One sold 99% of its unit, another one set a record price for the area, and one just moved 61% of its project over the launch weekend at 2.4k PSF. So the headlines are saying that the buyers are back. So I'm going to tell you something that might change how you see this entire market. Those three projects sold, but for completely different reasons. And if you don't understand why every single one worked, you might accidentally rush into the wrong project, or you might miss out an opportunity that you could be looking at. So let's get into it. I'm Taufik, and on this channel, I don't do hype and I don't do fear. I don't tell you to buy before it's too late. What I do is break down what the market is actually telling you, so you can make a decision that is more strategic and not emotional. So today we're dissecting last month, which is April's new home sales record, right? We're going into Tengah, we're going to Vela Bay and also Hudson Place, right? And we're going to be pulling out the one insight that most people will completely miss out. Because the market currently is not hot, it's selective. You've heard this over and over again in the recent times. This one thing changes everything. So last month, April 2026, developers sold 1,548 new launch units, and that is 19% up from March, right? More than double of the same month, April in 2025. It is also the highest monthly figure in 6 months. So on the surface, that sounds like momentum. But here's what I want you to notice. Almost all of that volume came from two of the launches, which is Tengah and Vela Bay. It is specific projects, specific stories affecting specific buyers. And this is actually useful information if you know how to read it, right? Because it means the question isn't, is the market hot? The real question is that, does this property have what buyers are committing to right now? So that's the question I want to help you to answer today. Let's start with Tengah Garden Residences, all the way to the west, right? 855 units sold, which is 99.1% of the project at a median of 2.1k PSF. Not because 2.1k PSF is cheap. In absolute terms, 2.1k PSF is still a serious number for a lot of Singaporean families. But in the context of today's new launch market, it is reachable. And more than just the price, Tengah had a story that resonated to the buyers. If you're a HDB upgrader from Bukit Batok, Choa Chu Kang, the western sector basically, right? It's familiar. It's basically your neighborhood, it's your MRT line. It's within your kids' school proximity. So you're not just buying a condo, you're moving up without uprooting your life. And on top of that, you're buying a new condo in a new town. The infrastructures are all already coming up, and the transformation stories is also there. And that's what I call the entry plus future story combined. So buyers are willing to move when it feels like a safe landing, and the next 10 years of the location feels like a tailwind. Tengah had both. Now, Vela Bay all the way to the east is a completely different thing, right? The median price was about 2.8k PSF. It's a new OCR benchmark. 370 units sold, 72% of the project. Now, this is not an affordability story. Vela Bay is not competing on price. But why did the buyers still move, right? Because Bayshore has been waiting to be told. Nearly a decade since the last major launch, which is at Seaside Residences. MRT connectivity, East Coast lifestyle, a precinct which is on the edge of transformation. When you have 10 years of pent-up demand in a location that people are genuinely interested to live in, and then a developer finally builds something that is worthy of that location, the buyers will naturally respond. But here's the part that I want you to hold on to. It's a compelling location story explaining why the buyers acted, but it does not guarantee what happens next. Long-term outcome will still depend on the entry price, the future supply, the exit demand, and your own holding power. The story justifies your current decision, but the numbers have to protect it. And this is where some buyers make the mistake. They fall in love with the narrative and stop stress testing the math over the long run. And finally, Hudson Place, which is at Media Circle. 201 out of 327 units sold in a single launch weekend. That's about 61.5% take-up rate and average of about 2.4k PSF. This is the one that I find most interesting and most instructive, because Hudson Place isn't Tengah's affordability play. It's not Vela Bay's kind of lifestyle story. It is something more subtle. Hudson Place is sitting in the One North ecosystem, which is Fusionopolis, Biopolis, Mediapolis, right, the NUS. It's a knowledge economy cluster that Singapore has been quietly building over the years. And then there's this. The developer paid 1037 PSF per plot ratio for the land. That's relatively okay for the location, which means they had room to price with discipline rather than desperation. And they did. 2 bedrooms from $1.4 million, 3 bedrooms from about $2 million, and many units reportedly landed below the $2.5 million, which is kind of the sweet spot. That quantum control brought in a broader buyer pool. HDB upgraders, owner-occupiers or professionals who are even working in the one-off district. And it compared well with Pioneer Residences, which is in the east, launching at about 2.5 kpsf, Vela Bay at about 2.8 kpsf, Hudson Place 2.4 kpsf. So same era, better relative value story. So three things drove Hudson Place: calibrated pricing, relative value against nearby launches, and a precinct story that is still building, which means buyers still believe that there is upside to capture. So this tells us that buyers are not just looking for cheap, they are looking for something that justifies the number. So let me give you the mental model here. Every single project that performed last month in April had three things in common: context, the objective, and the risk. The context was clear. Buyers understood where the property sat in the bigger Singapore story. The objective was clear. Who is this for, and does it match their objective with their life? And the risk felt managed. Entry price, the quantum, and the future demand all joined in the same direction. And this is what separates property from one that people commit to and the one that people just admire but don't buy. And if you are evaluating on a property and you can't really answer these three things clearly, context, the objective, and the risk, then you don't have the conviction yet. You just have kind of like a curiosity. And making million-dollar decisions like that based on curiosity is expensive. So if you're a HDB upgrader watching this, I want to be direct with you. Tengah selling out can feel like an urgency. Vela Bay crossing 2.8 kpsf can feel like prices are running away. And Hudson Place selling over 61% in a single weekend can make you feel like the window is kind of closing. That feeling is real, I understand it, but it's not a strategy, it's just a feeling. Remember, your maximum loan is not your safe loan. Estimated HDB sale price is not your usable fund for the next house. You have to think about your monthly installment, your CPF refund, your budget for everything, your emergency buffer. All these matter before you sign anything. Make sure you have all the numbers already laid out. You see, the families who upgrade successfully, they don't move because the market feels active. They move because the numbers, their timeline, and their next property, the goals are all aligned. That alignment, not market momentum, is what makes the move strategic instead of stressful. So for sellers, here's the harder truth. April's strong number will make some homeowners think, it's a good time to list, right? The buyers are back in the market. And they're not wrong, buyers are still active. But here is what the data also show you. Buyers in the market are choosing, they are comparing, they are stress testing different quantums, and they are weighing your home against new launches with developer marketing budget, show flat, and the story already built around them. You cannot just put your home online and assume a lot of buyers will connect the dot and choose your home. Tengah had a story, Vela Bay had a story, and Hudson Place had its own story. So what is the story for your house? Why your home? Why the price that you are asking? Why your location? Why now? Why not the new launch just down the road? Sellers who win in this market, they don't just list, they build conviction. The pricing strategy, the buyer profiling, and the narrative around your property, a whole lot more of things. So here's a few things that I'm watching in the upcoming months. 1. Whether May's developer sales stay strong, or whether Tengah and Vela Bay were outliers that skewed April's numbers. And 2. Whether buyers continue accepting RCR pricing at Hudson Place when the precinct story is still developing but not yet arrived. And 3. The growing gap between new launch prices and resale prices starts creating real opportunity for buyers who are patient enough to look at resale. 4. Whether HDB upgraders' confidence hold because affordability is still the biggest constraint in this market. And that doesn't change on sentiment alone. The next few months will tell us whether this is a broad market confidence or a series of well-executed launches that found their own specific buyers. That distinction matters more than what the headline says. So here's my final view. April rebound is real, yes, but it's not a signal that everything is easy to buy, easy to sell, or easy to upgrade into. It is a signal that when a property has the right price, the right story, the right quantum, and the right future demand, Singapore buyers are still prepared to move. The question is whether your next move has those same conditions. If you're trying to figure out whether to sell, upgrade, hold, restructure your portfolio, and you want to stress test your decision before you commit, just message me and we'll do a property decision audit together. We look at your numbers, your timeline, your options, whether the move actually makes sense, puts you in a stronger position, not just in this market, but 5 to 10 years down the road. So I'm Taufik, I'll see you.